David O'Cady, who'd been making serene progress up until then. I think if you were going to showcase the game of 9-ball and you wanted to get two players to do it and put them up against each other, you might just pick these two.
I mean, two of the world's favorite.
To 11.
Ooh, what a lovely opening. One ball into the right side as intended, and then look at that white ball as we'll see the replay. And that 2-3-4, well, they're very close to each other first of all, so not a lot of cue ball movement necessary.
It's only about 25 miles from here to Alexandra Palace, Rico, and it almost felt like we were back there when we heard those songs that are so associated with the Moscone Cup. Give It Up, Jason Shaw's walk-on song, and of course that's been adapted into Jason Shaw, the chant at the Moscone. And then we heard Seven Nation Army, which of course is Joshua Filler's Moscone song with his name in it.
Yeah, and actually about the most recent Moscone Cup in December 2025, after every evening session of the Moscone Cup, I take the bus from the venue back down to Alexandra Palace train station, and there are loads of fans getting on that double-decker bus, and the two songs that they sing are exactly the ones you just mentioned. The Oh Joshua Filler, which is of course being used for many other sporting moments as well, and Jason Shaw. That's what they're singing on that bus, and it's so cool that they're so popular.
Well, never mind the white stripes. It's all about the black and yellow stripes at the end of a rack. And Filler is progressing nicely towards that. I think if they haven't got it already, in the fullness of time, we may be talking about these two as the two greatest European Moscone Cup players ever, given the track record they both have already.
Two best left-handed players in the world?
Certainly at the moment, you'd have to say. Wu Chia-ching, of course, is a left-hander as well.
Yeah. He's not currently that active, isn't it? Wish we would see him again. So could hold his cue ball here, and his cue ball will basically land on the top white spot that you can see next to the 8-ball, or could topspin his cue ball. Now lower tip position indicates he's just going to hold his cue ball and accept a 20-30 degree angle on that 9-ball, or maybe just screw it back. Why don't you? I'm supposed to be the expert here. And more angle than he bargained for. This, though, for a first break-in run after winning the lag. Pretty clean start so far.
Perfection from the German to claim the places in that, which will be awarded off the basis of the rankings. So, dream break in rack 1 from Filler, and, well, in rack 2, Rico, he's got the 1. He's on the 2, but the 3 doesn't look like it's finished in the most helpful position.
Exactly, Michael. Now, here, would love to break open the 3-8. Just checking if the 3-8 lines up as a combo, which I think it might even do, or else. But getting this cue ball to maneuver, he has to hit the 2-ball really thick to make it into the pocket. But then getting your cue ball to topspin or screw back or stun it off the rail requires a lot of precision. Perfect line. Yeah, looked great, but yeah, there were a lot of ways of hitting that 8-ball to get away with it, but also, as it turns out, might be able to hit the 3, but definitely not on the left side to make it. And to play the safety, he might be able to hit the 3-ball on the right side. straight into the top rail and get the 3-ball back down here. But his cue ball might not be able to get out of the way in time, so then you get the old double kisser. Could kick the cue ball off the right rail, play the old kick and stick. If this rack goes on further, there's still a little matter of the 5-7. The 5 might not pass the 7, that's looking ahead. Floating rest, not letting the rest on the table, and that didn't go according to plan.
And one of his compatriots the other day, who we saw play a few matches, was playing shots with his hand, not even on the table. When he was having to bridge over balls, he had his hand.
Rainier Bierman.
That's him, yeah. It was like he was playing air violin.
JAYSON with a little bit of the left side of the 3-ball, trying to get his cue ball behind the brown 7, you'd imagine. Delicate, delicate, beautiful. Very nice tempo, and as I said yesterday, JAYSON's got like really, I guess they call it soft hands, to be able to really maneuver your cue ball in small spaces, and really that require a lot of finesse. Joshua will come off at 2 rails here, top rail and the right rail. Ooh, this might be good.
Well, he did say he's been practicing his safeties.
No, he really has, and that was the exact side of the 3-ball he tried to hit, to try to get that to occur, and so it did. JAYSON can jump this. Just checking what I alluded to earlier. That 5-ball really doesn't pass the 7.
Extension call.
So this battle for the 3-ball might still not be the be and end all of this rack. Now JAYSON, as you might think, what's he doing? Aiming at the 9-ball. He's trying to jump, hit the right side of the red 3, tried to make the red 3 bottom left, but the cue ball may also career into the new look 9-ball. 2 chances. And isn't it often the case? It's either both go right or none go right.
Yeah, and one thing which certainly hasn't gone right for him is the outcome of the shot. The little flick from the cue ball on the 3 has left it sitting for filler.
Yeah, and you've talked about, we've done quite a few Jayson Shaw matches this tournament. Slow starter, right?
Yeah, it seems to be in every way, really. He's a slow starter to the year a lot of the time. We see him at tournaments, it takes him a while to get going, and in matches he starts very slowly as well. And it's something he's got to think about, because it's a pattern that everyone has noticed. Surely it can't have escaped his attention.
So Joshua might actually think that this 5-ball does pass.
Yeah, seems unlikely he would have played it that way so deliberately if it didn't.
But yeah, on a pool table, depending on how far the ball is off the rail, you can sometimes hit the long rail on the left side there, and it might still be accepted by the right jaw of that top left corner pocket. Nice.
And this is exactly what you don't want to happen when you're playing Joshua Filler, because as we've discussed on many occasions, once he gets a bit of a lead, a bit of momentum, he can become as close to an unstoppable force as you're ever likely to see in this game.
Yeah, and I think there's no player in the world that wins matches by a landslide more often than Joshua does. And what I put that down to is that he is the heaviest punisher of any kind of, whether it be a mistake or he might get away with something sometimes. But when he gets to the table, he makes the most of it most often.
Yeah, and he starts every match with so much confidence. Just seems to move up to another level once he gets in control of things. And in the very early stages, and had a shot at the 2 both times.
Will have a shot on the 2. Look at the 1 as intended. So hitting the 1-ball, half ball, drawing the cue ball off the right side rail. But then we never quite know where that 2-ball, which is racked at either wing of the rack, so the left or the right side, or the bottom of the rack. We never really know where that's going to go. He's not going to play this 2-3 combination. He's going to play a safety, at which he said he has become stronger. that's pretty good. Would have loved to have glued the cue ball onto the 6 ball to take away the jump shot option. As we can see, Jason with the orange ferruled cues already taking his jump cue as well. Because remember, we are playing with a shot clock. Players have to make quick decisions. 30 seconds per shot.
Called.
1 extension available per rack per player, which gives you another 30 seconds. Making it should give him a shot on the 3. Could still be okay. Would like to not let Joshua see anything.
Is it time for players to rein it in a bit and stop attempting so many pots with the jump cue? Because we're seeing such a low percentage of them go in these days since the pockets were tightened up. Does the approach need to change?
That's an interesting proposition. Well, I guess the alternative there was sometimes there is no alternative, or sometimes you would have to kick at a ball maybe off of 2-3 rails. If you can kick off 1 rail and ensure the hit, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. My thoughts on the jump cues were that sometimes it's just too easy to escape, and I was sometimes thinking, what if players get like 3 jump shot allowances per match? Then at some point you would have to think about, do I want to use up one of my 3 jumping lifelines? That's something for another time.
But whatever about that, with the rules as they are at the moment, should the players not be looking at it and thinking, if you're trying to jump at a ball and there's a lot of distance to cover, you've no control over where it finishes and you're giving up chances.
No, that is true. Yeah, and the pockets on the World 9-ball Tour in the last 3, 4, 5 years have really been tightened up. They used to be about an inch bigger, and it really makes a difference, and it really separates the really good potters from the average ones. I love the size of the pockets these days. I think it's definitely not too big, definitely not too small either.
No, it's made it an infinitely better game.
Yeah.
But it just feels like over the course of this week, all the jump shots I've seen, with players attempting pots, now of course they're not always attempting the pot, but it's been very, very low, the number that have actually gone in.
That's true. I guess sometimes when I go through the Matchroom pool socials, you see a lot of highlights of like jump shots going in because they look spectacular. But this week, I don't think they've been able to show that many, because you're right. I think a lot of jump shots attempted haven't been made. Now here, combination possible. Blue onto green, 2 onto 6, that is. But his 2 ball is going to roll towards the short rail, as he's pointing out to you quite clearly. Thanks, Joshua. And then needs to control his cue ball, which will roll into the purple 5. So how do you get position on the 2? The combination, I believe he will make. Position, I'm not so sure. He will always keep a shot on the 2. He's not going to get snookered on it, I believe. Although, he might hit the top side of the purple. Or might even avoid that and career the cue ball into the red 3. Wow. That was so good.
Well, we talk about Shaw often being slow to start in matches, but I don't think we can level that accusation here because he's not had a chance yet really to do much about it.
Yeah, and Joshua's got such a nice urgency about him in his, I don't know, the way he walks around the table in these kind of like small steps. Whereas Jason is trying to kind of show more like a cool persona, which at the Mosconi Cup is completely different. And Joshua just loves to compete, right? It's just after the game, all is well between him and most players. I mean, he's friends with most players, but just right now, he just loves to really completely dominate the game and play the game as good as he can. Of course, that then ensures that you beat players.
Well, he isn't nicknamed Killer just because it rhymes with filler. He really does have that animal instinct and loves destroying opponents. And I mean that in a very good way, because that's what you're out there to do.
Yeah, it'd be a very bad nickname if he was a very average to bad player. thump of the cue ball, 3-rail, 4-rail position even, just to get an even better angle on this brown 7. It's going to apply bottom right spin and lead the cue ball along the right long rail, just somewhere about the right side pocket height, to give himself an excellent position on the 8-ball, and can pretty much say racing into a 3-0 lead.
Striding the stage here. You're taking it in the round. It's really no contest. 3-0.
Cue ball almost traveled down table, but got kicked up, back up table, and that gave him a nice shot on this 2-ball. All testing pot though, but then, as we alluded to at the beginning of the program, Jason and Joshua, two of the most talented ball pocketers in the world.
Well, I mean, this is just classic Filler, this shot.
I think you're about to curse him.
Never in doubt, Rico. Never in doubt.
Nice. I'm so glad he made that. Cue ball almost drifted on top of the 9-ball, which would have forced him to play with elevation. Now, though, yeah, he's going to play this with the bottom left spin, draw it into the top left corner and around the 8-ball, back out alongside the 6. Oh, that amount of spin. Just wasn't able to get to the right spot on the 3-ball. A hand of apology. Jason wanting to hand his cue to one of our audience members, and just you play the shot, mate. Wow, what do you do here? I mean, can brush the right side of the ball and try to get the 3-ball top side of the table, cue ball back down towards us. Didn't get the snooker. 8-ball covering top left corner pocket. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Not, you know, if a cue ball, object ball are kind of aligned towards the pocket, more often than not, the safety is hard to come by. Because naturally a ball, if you'd be straight in, you kind of want to pot the ball. Now he has to play safe, or I think he does anyway.
Extension
Time
called.
running out, extension called. So what would you do here, audience at home? Think along with me. And you can send the 3-ball just to the left rail to the 7-ball. I think that's a bit too containing for his liking. That is what he did. Also tried to use the 6-ball as a covering ball. That didn't work out. Now Jason has to take this chance. I mean, really can't afford to go 4-0 down against Joshua in a race to 11 in a semi-final of a major where Joshua gets better and better.
Yeah, Filler's hard enough to beat, even when you're the one who builds a big lead. Imagine how hard it is trying to beat him from well behind.
Yeah, jump shot incoming. Now you can see if we can improve on that percentage of jump shots attempted and balls potted.
I think maybe he heard me talking about how a few balls have been potted with the jump cue this week.
Yeah, beautiful contact on the 3-ball. That cue ball rolled a little bit too close to this rail and now needs to really dig down on the cue ball. Bottom right spin, try to draw it into the bottom left corner. Might make contact with the 9. That doesn't have to be disastrous. That's a good shot.
Has Shaw potted a ball yet?
I think not. I really have to think back of trying to visualize seeing him at the table, but that might have been the matches of last night.
Well, we know Filler has potted plenty, and if he can take care of 5 more, he'll be 4-0 up.
But there again, right, the safety that Jason played, I mean, obviously he got him snookered, but, you know, leaving well, any kind of professional pool player, but especially a top professional pool player, leaving them a jump shot, I mean, more often than not, you're going to get the worst of it. Okay, I think we're going to get a little break after rack 4, and that will give Jason time. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do, really. He's going to have the same frame of mind. Hasn't really made big mistakes, right? Hasn't missed a pot, as Michael was saying. He may not even have had a chance to make one.
I do remember him attempting one, but it was a very acute cut and jumping, so you wouldn't have really expected it to be made. But Filler flying out of the blockers. Imagine growing up in that house with that garden.
That's beautiful. I think they've got all kinds of animals around there as well. I saw llamas in some social media posts, and let's see, or alpacas.
The little room you could see up the top of the building there is actually a recording studio now, and I've spent many days in there. It's got the most incredible view over London. You realise how close the centre of London is when you're there.
Yeah, because a taxi driver yesterday told me that actually Brentwood is 300 meters above sea level. Yeah. Anyway.
I did not know that, Rico.
Yeah. We have Joshua with something he might be hard to refuse. A jump shot on the 2-ball. I mean, the 2-ball. Okay, push out called, so never mind my prediction. But where to push out to when a blue ball is in front of the pocket? So he may still jump out to a jump shot, but he's not going to get that back, because the 2-ball goes in. I mean, the 2-ball can go in directly. The 2-ball can go in off the left rail, off the brown ball.
Jason, it's your choice.
All right. Okay, I thought Jason was walking away with it instantly, but he's instantly walking back to the table for his jump cue. Now Jason needs to make something happen here. Yeah. Hit it pretty good. I mean, that's what Joshua would have attempted. So it's almost like he was challenging Jason, right? You take it. If you don't take it, I will take it and I'll make it. Now, we never got to see if Joshua was going to make it. No need. This, a little bit of a disappointing sound from Joshua's mouth, because he really can only leave his cue ball on the top half of the right rail. So, and that 5-ball is pretty close to the 4-ball. So as you can see, there and no further. So there and everything to the right, closer to the right rail, is the only place he will find position on the pink 4. So has Jason just gone favorite to win his first rack? Doesn't want to hit the side pocket knuckle. That has happened often to me. Could make the 4. I mean, that is second prize. Kind of was trying to hit the rail, hit the 4-ball, and get cover behind the 5-ball. Wow, can Joshua actually go in between the 8-9 and play the kick and stick? Yeah, that's what you get, right? I mean, if you're leading 4-0, sometimes it just seems that you hit the balls better, your opponent hits the ball a little bit worse, and you get a few more chances, but that tide can turn, you know. So another jump shot opportunity for Jason. Missed the 2-ball, of course, a few shots ago. And he's just going to have to do something to spark that fire. He better do it fast. This jump shot, or else he may go 5-0 down.
Ooh, well, for a moment there, he might have been hoping for a friendly flick off the 6. He's working with him for some time. And if you can get to grips with that sight right method, Rico, and it works for you, it really can completely revolutionize your game.
Yeah, I do remember Mark Williams about 5-6 years ago started working with Stephen Feeney. And it's a way to align in front of your shot before you actually step into the shot to make sure you and it's, you know, it's all about, of course, we have 2 eyes, we get 2 bouts of information, everybody has a dominant eye, and so how to aim, how to line up. I mean, not exactly sure, but Mark Williams surely benefited from it, and is still playing with that alignment.
Yeah, well, Mark was actually going to retire in 2017 and was at least contemplating it. Started working with Steve Feeney. A year later, he was world champion for the 3rd time.
And what's the man behind Joshua doing? He's meditating, I think.
Not going to sight much with your eyes closed.
Nine-ball combo. Or carom. Off the 4, off the rail into the 9. Ooh. Got close, but no cigar. So this tester for Jason, not just the pot. But does the 5-ball pass the 9, or else he might have to elevate his cue to play the 5 top right. Yeah, not easy, because even if he rolls this one in, yeah, I think should be able to get position onto the 5 past the 9. But this one first.
Well, these guys both love getting out there on the main table in front of a crowd, in front of the cameras, and showing what they can do. Only one of them has really been able to do it so far in this match. Finally, Shaw has a chance to get involved.
Yeah, and I kind of hope as well, even though he has had little to shout about, but I hope he gives the crowd something to shout about, because of course he is the sole British playing survivor and the first man ever to make it to the semi-final, right, Michael?
First British player to do so, yeah. He and Fraser Patrick last year were actually the first British players to even get beyond the last 16 of a UK Open. So this one looks to be a done deal now. And with a very easy 8-9 combination.
The same side Joshua is, I believe. 1 ball. Track that to the left side pocket. Then focus on the blue 2. And this is looking good. Yeah, hit it pretty textbook. Really wants to leave his cue ball. You know, you're going to hit the side of the 1 ball to maneuver it into the side. That drives your cue ball into the side pocket. You're going to give it some backspin to try to get it back to the center of table. And this cue ball is about as center as he will get it. Bit of bottom left spin to weave his cue ball in between the red and purple and back out.
We talked earlier about how rampant and unstoppable Filler can become once he gets a bit of momentum, a bit of wind in his sails. And to a slightly lesser extent, you can say the same about Shaw. I think what holds him back at times from being quite at Filler's level in that department is that he can look wonderful for a couple of racks, pot some great balls, and then go and miss one that you would never expect him to. He does have that in his game.
Yeah, and this already started from the 2 ball that he played. Ended up with too much angle on the 3 ball, with even more angle on the 4 ball, and now can still cut this 5 ball in the right side pocket, although it's thinner than you might think, and these side pockets really small. And then has to weave his cue ball 3 rails across the top half of the table and weave it either for a space in between brown and 9 ball, or go further than that and pass the 9 ball. Go cue ball. This is looking good, good. I don't know.
Neither does he.
Now it will be jumpable, or can slightly curve his cue ball, so you know, only has the edge of the 9 ball to either jump over or curve around. Little jump cue coming out, so can make the 6, stop his cue ball. So basically wants to jump the cue ball, but adapt a little bit of backspin onto the cue ball, so when the cue ball makes contact with the 6, has no forward motion whatsoever. Ah, Jason.
Oh, hang on. No, it's not going to get there.
So, and that so often happens with professional players as well as amateur players. You know, you get 10% too much angle on shot 1. You end up with 30% too much angle on shot 2. And then by shot 4, you have to play a jump shot. And it's exactly what happened to Jason. Just too much talent required with every shot. And Joshua is the master of keeping things simple, because he is a master of cue ball motion and keeping that under control.
We talk so much about the tiny margins in this game. If that cue ball a couple of shots ago from short makes even half a revolution more than it did, it's all fairly straightforward for him to get back to only 2 behind. And now he's facing a 4-rack deficit again. Normal service resuming then for Joshua Filler. He leads this semi-final 5.
Especially against a player of Jason's caliber. Ooh, a congregation of all kinds of balls in the middle of the table. So they initially spread apart and then kind of
push out called.
Ended up coming back together. 2 ball, of course, the ball to be played. Can he see that in between the 8 and 9? Not really. So for the first shot after the break, push out allowed, as we're going to see here. If you don't like your shot after the break, only the first shot after the break, you can roll your cue ball into any position on the table and the opponent can take or leave the shot. Yeah, so only offered Jason a very thin cut, and the only cover Jason can try to get is behind the 3 and 8 ball. So kind of make
Joshua,
the 2 ball land on the purple 5, I believe, although Joshua has proven me wrong a few times by doing something else great. Yeah, so very thin contact. Nice. And you think, well, why didn't Jason shoot that? But percentage-wise, that was really difficult. You know, hitting the ball, you know, hitting it 5 or 10% thicker or thinner would have brought a completely different result.
The ultimate example, of course, of a player going into his own world before a match is Shane Van Boening, and he's done fairly well over the years. But then again, as you say, different players have different personalities, and Shane's such an introvert anyway. It's kind of hard to imagine Jason just sitting quietly on his own for 10 minutes, but it might be worth giving it a go once or twice.
That'll work for the time being, that is, because he's snookered by about 3 balls on the red 3. Watched the 2 ball go off the rail. Luckily didn't kick the cue ball back in. Didn't even touch the cue ball. Okay, can still see the 3 ball. Ooh. Great shot by Jason. Close proximity snooker, so no jump shot going to be played here. And the 3 ball being in the open area of the table makes it a little bit harder to hit than if it's close to a rail or a corner. And hard to get away with it as well. Now Joshua not even coming off 1 rail, but actually going to hit the left rail just below the side, then go around the right corner, as we can see him clearly indicating, because he has a better chance of getting away with it after impact. We'll probably hit the right side of the 3-ball. Or nothing at all, just air.
Foul stroke. Ball in hand.
Time for Jason to up the level.
Please start the clock.
Stop the unforced errors. He's created the opportunity. Time to cash in.
These two have been Mosconi Cup teammates many times and doubles partners in the Mosconi on many occasions. 7 in total, and for a long time they were very formidable. In fact, Filler's first ever Mosconi Cup doubles match was with Jason Shaw, and they had a comfortable win over Shane Van Bonin and Skylar Woodward. And the first 5 times they played together, they only lost once, but the last couple of times they've paired up, they've actually been beaten, including a whitewash at the hands of Van Bonin and Woodward in the US a few years ago.
Yeah, and Jason also a world record holder of the most consecutive balls potted in a different discipline. It's called straight pool, which you will see if you have ever or will or should really watch the movie The Hustler, featuring Jackie Gleason and Paul Newman. Beautiful black and white movie. That's the game they play there. Jason potted about, what is it, about 800 consecutive balls.
I think he's had another go since and
Broke it again.
popped it further. Yeah, well,
From the last one. So 1 ball, left side pocket. Ooh, hit the 1 ball a little bit too full. That's why it travels a little bit further and hit the jaw, the top jaw of the left side pocket.
first break from either player in this match that didn't result in the one going in the side pocket.
A few things to play for here in this rack. First of all, this 1 ball, which can be played onto the 4 ball, which is, well, not hanging, but is near the top right corner pocket. I think that's what we're going to see here. Very nicely played. And then we have the little matter of the 5-9, which I think probably won't be played in combination. He could leave himself an angle on the 2 ball, make the 2 and break open the 5-9. Could very well then have position on the 3 ball, and that would be all the challenges, the main challenges overcome in this rack. Let's see. Yeah, I think that might be the shot to play, you know. Oh, he's looking at the 5-9. So really wants to leave his cue ball as straight right where his cue is pointing, so basically center table, to make aiming at the combination easier. Yeah, and then with Jason missing that 1 ball in the side, I guess you can't really call it an unforced error because it's still a skill shot. But Jason just can't get closer, right? And as I said before, Joshua the Punisher. 5-9 combo for 6-2.
Yeah, Shaw just can't make any inroads, can he?
Yeah, so Joshua made the 1 ball in the opposite side pocket. It's the same shot from either side, really. Some players prefer breaking from the left side of the break box. Joshua, in this case anyway, prefers breaking from the right. Has got a shot on this 2 ball. His cue ball will then travel to the left long rail, and I think he's trying to use the natural path, which will hopefully he's hoping, lead him to come off the left rail and just below the 9 ball to shoot the 3 ball in the same pocket.
Oh, he's just playing so well. You just fancy him to achieve everything he attempts in this match right now.
Yeah, so naturally the cue ball would hit just before the side pocket, but then the 6-8 might become a problem. So he's going to manipulate the cue ball path with a little bit of backspin and try to come in between black and purple. Ooh, that's too deep. So a little bit too much backspin. Manipulated the cue ball path a little bit too much, but it's got second prize with the 5 ball in the side.
Extension called.
That European Open win last year didn't really set up Filler for the rest of 2025 the way we thought it might. Did get to the quarterfinals of the US Open later in the year. And he was part of yet another winning Mosconi team, and we talk a lot about Shaw and all the winning teams that he's been a part of. 8 now, level with Niels Fine as the most for any European, and if Shaw's on the winning team this year, he'll equal the all-time record for either side, which has been on 9 winning teams. But don't forget Filler. He's been on 6 at this stage. So one day he may be chasing down those records.
And I do believe that this 6-2 deficit, which very likely is going to turn into a 7-2 deficit for JAYSON, I mean, it stems from that, I think when he was like 4-1 down, and he missed that easy or fairly easy rack and made it harder and harder for himself, and eventually missed that straight in 6-ball jump shot. He did win the rack after, but you know, as we can see here, Joshua not just punishing you that rack, but also then adds another break and run. So the winner break format, really, you never know how severely you're going to get punished.
Hard-fought match against Niels Fine, but he got through that, and he's firmly on top in this semi-final. 7-2. He's made another one in the side. The 2 is going to drop as well. But is that 3 cuttable, Rico? I think it might just be slightly too low.
No, in short. Yeah, and trying to make it into the corner, as we'll soon see. Trying to cut it into the corner is, of course, going to make your cue ball go straight into the right side pocket. The bank, not available. I think the 9 is in the way of the path of the bank shot to the bottom left corner pocket. Could hit the 3 ball. Of course, so he can basically hit the 3 ball on the left side. That will make his cue ball scratch. So hitting it on the right side, try to guide 3 ball towards the 4, cue ball behind the 9 or 6 or the 7. Yeah.
I always think it's a sign of a player who's breaking really well if he can consistently make multiple balls on the break, and Filler's starting to do that now.
Not sure if JAYSON can see anything of this 3 ball. If he can, then he can cut it and leave it just above the right side pocket, on the rail, of course.
Extension call.
I can see elevation here. Ooh, that's not too far off, but far enough to let Joshua back to the table with not an automatic pot or position, but I think he should be able to make the 3 top left and stun his cue ball just below the pink 4. Or he's going to roll it into the left side with a natural path to the 4. Yeah, it's just the, unforced errors. JAYSON hasn't made many, but he's definitely made more than Joshua, and not that many more. But Joshua, like I said before, he punishes mistakes better than anybody else. And that's the difference with pool and snooker, I think. If you can, of course, these two cue sports often compared. In snooker, if you make a mistake, you could lose the frame in one visit by your opponent, but thereafter you're back in the game, right? The opening is a safety shot, whereas in pool, especially with this winner break format, you make a mistake or you miss a ball, and you just have to sit and wait for how severe your punishment will be.
Yeah, and it's funny how often we see players lose matches by fairly significant margins, but you can still just point to one moment and say that that was really the difference between the players. It's a very exacting sport. It only takes small lapses and imperfections.
Yeah, and just a roller coaster of emotions so often.
Extension called.
I mean, sometimes you have a match where you breeze through, but of course then if you breeze through, that means your opponent is going through it. So often just have to, it's really about self-management. Trying to not get ahead of yourself. Don't let your ego take over too much, or at all really. Stay within yourself, but still play the game the way it's presented to you.
It was a very one-sided semi-final earlier today in the end, taking Wojciech Szczewczyk through to the final of this UK Open. We definitely fancied this one would be a good deal closer. It may yet be, but it isn't looking like it at the moment.
One ball on the right side. Yeah, and like you said, Michael, he's making multiple balls. I think it's the ball just below the 2 ball that goes to the, is it 7 ball that goes to the bottom left corner? Oh no, never mind that. Yeah, and this is a very doable cut on the 2. We'll have to kind of maneuver his cue ball around or before the black 8. I think he's going to go around it.
Based on what we've seen so far in this tournament, and perhaps of more relevance in this match, you'd give very short odds against him seeing it out from here and getting within 2 of victory.
Yeah, just in full control at the moment. There are a few gentlemen at the back of the area. They're, I think, manifesting for Jason's win. I think their eyes are only being opened by a ball colliding with another ball, and they are kind of forced to pay attention. And within a few seconds, they're back to manifesting.
You think of sporting greats who loved just destroying it for everyone else. Tiger Woods loved when he won all those golf tournaments by ridiculous amounts of shots. Stephen Hendry was the same when he would completely ruin the spectacle of a major final by just winning it so easily. And Joshua Filler, you feel, is cut from the same cloth. He just loves doing this to opponents, and he's done it so often. Right here, he's doing it. Could get there very soon himself. Shane Van Boening surpassed that mark as well a couple of years ago. Still 100% with making the 1 in the side in this match, Filler. 2's down as well. Probably would have preferred that to stay on the table and hover over the pocket. Because what's he got in the 3, Rico?
Yeah, so 3-4. 4 ball not makeable. Banking the 3 backup table, I think. In between pink and yellow. Yeah. I mean, like, and not just playing safe, right, but eliminating the jump shot. Appreciated by Jason for about 1 second.
That's 3 of the last 4 breaks from Filler now that he's made multiple balls. And you can see it happen on its own from time to time, but to keep doing it consistently, that's the sign of someone who's breaking really well. And this is turning into an absolute nightmare for Shaw, isn't it? I remember him doing something similar to this to Sanjin Pelovanovic in front of the big crowd in Hanoi the year he won there. Now he's the one on the receiving end in a big semi-final.
Yeah, and just plays so beautifully, right? None of his strokes, of course he's not under pressure at the moment, but he's played so well that he's created the distance and can relax a little bit more. But even under pressure, just delivers the cues so well. You never see him twitch, or you never see him make a ball, but ooh, was that deserved of going in? He just plays the game so well, right? The format that is offered, the break that is required, safeties that are required to create opportunities. And don't forget, I mean, he's an extremely talented guy, but this gentleman really trains his socks off when he's back at home. And I think that they're building a new home currently, or have just bought a new home, and that will for sure have a beautiful pool room in it.
There's some beautiful pool being played by Joshua Filler right now. We've seen this many times over the years, but we still marvel at it. The confidence, the exuberance, the fluency. And Joshua Filler is already well in front.
Hey, hello, opportunity.
Oh, what a way to finish that would be. Yeah, just a bit too high. His last break of the match, whatever happens from here, and it's the only one that he hasn't made the one in the side. Standards are slipping, Rika.
He's playing terribly. 9-ball almost went into the left side as a late bonus. Now this is a chance on this 1 ball. I think it also passes the black 8 in the top left. I think it might be easier, might be accepted a little bit easier in the top right. Boom. And there we see Jayson doesn't lose any of his talent, even at a 10-2 deficit. Now looking ahead, the 5 ball is not easy. It will go in both pockets.
And that might just be that for Jayson Shaw, and indeed the home contingent in this year's UK Open.
Yeah, this is a nice little challenge. Of course, the 2 to the 3, pretty automatic. Pink 4 being close to the 3, that should be okay. But he can kind of only get straight in on the 5 ball, and that gives him an unmaneuverable cue ball to get position onto the 6 ball, which is on the other side of the table. So we'll probably, well, to make the 5 needs to leave himself straight in, whether it's above or below the 5 ball. Yeah, so he's going to leave himself above the 5 ball, and in that way he can leave himself an angle to keep the cue ball maneuverable towards the 6. So he's going to weave his cue ball with kind of like a 9 o'clock stun in between purple and black, and then let the cue ball bounce a little bit off the rail, so keeps the pot very doable, like so, although a challenge, but still can get himself a beautiful position on the 6 ball.
Extension.
It may well be the last challenge he has to overcome in this match.
Oh, yeah, never was, you know, it hit the rail pretty soon, and it was basically never in. I mean, it still almost dropped. Now these shots, as we look at the missed 5 ball, yeah, hit the rail a little bit too soon. Now this 5 ball, not easy to make, but hard to get position on the cue ball on these slippery cloth and elevating. This needs a little friendly bump and won't get it. Now he's going to try to cut it in the side. Now, pretty lackadaisical attitude. He's going for it pretty soon. And as you said, that air of resignation still featuring in his current. Yeah. That's nice. Miss it and leave Joshua snookered. But now watch here. Kick and stick. 8 ball behind, sorry, 6 ball behind the 8 ball. Might get covered behind the brown 7 as well. Slight disappointing sound by Joshua, but still a doable 6 ball, but his cue ball is going to be flying across the table, hard to control for position on the 7.
Up and out of that very quickly, and a chance now for Filler to get this done. Well, who would have thought when Wojciech Szewczyk beat Jonas Suto 11-3, so that would be the closer of the 2 semi-finals. May well turn out that way.
Yeah, so only the 6 ball making the tester position automatic. And just that speed, even though he hit both jaws, just the speed of that shot made the 6 ball be accepted by that pocket. Had he played it harder, it wouldn't have dropped.
We always talk about these back-to-back semi-finals and how if you're playing in the second one, you might not have much time before the final. It's usually how it turns out, but not in this instance, because he's going to have well over 3 hours before he has to return to the table, and he won't exactly have been tired out too much by the way this semi-final has gone. Been a bit of a disappointment from our point of view that there hasn't been more pool to watch between these 2 great players, but that is not Joshua Filler's concern. He was already the only player to have been in 2 UK Open finals. Now he's through to a 3rd, and if he can win tonight, he will be the